1.1 Welcome to Overview of Moodle. In this course, we'll be reviewing how to customize the look and feel of your Moodle courses, site-wide and individually. We'll select themes, and we will also learn how to customize elements. As we get started, I'd like to point out a few useful resources we'll be referring to throughout this course. First, there's Moodle Docs. You can find it here. Let's go to Moodle Docs. This will help you refer to different parts of your Moodle course that you can modify. We'll also let you know about plugins. Remember that a theme is a plugin. Now let's go to the plugin directory. Moodle themes are nice because they can make your design reflect your organization's mission and vision. They are further customizable with course format. Also, you can design your course so that it's engaging and even fun. If that seems overwhelming, don't worry. You may not realize it, but many Moodle themes come pre-packaged and are free. You can also customize themes yourself and create a completely individual look. If you're ambitious, you may even aspire to create a theme that you can share with others. But before we plunge into themes, let's quickly review Moodle. As you know, Moodle is an open-source learning management system, and it is very popular worldwide. It's very flexible, and it has many plugins, so you can really tailor it to meet your needs for education ages 5 through 8, college and university, corporate training, and association and professional development. Let's go through. Now, I'll guide you through navigation. Notice your managing Moodle site will provide many different opportunities to understand the different elements of the site. Now let's log in. Let's start in the Moodle homepage, and we can also go ahead and turn editing on, and we'll get started. If you need more help or have questions, I recommend going back to Moodle Docs, which can be found on the footer of every page, or just simply bookmark Moodle Docs. In the next section, we'll be reviewing editing in Moodle and the icons. 1.2 Welcome to Icons in Moodle. We are going to go through the basics of editing Moodle courses so that you can customize the appearance of your course or courses. We can edit by clicking icons. Let's take a look. Icons have changed a few times in recent versions, so let's review. Remember, you click on the icon to either activate a tool or to open a window that will allow you to create content or modify existing content or import files. So let's start by turning editing on. Right now it's on, so if we wanted to turn it off, we could. And let's look at the basic icons. The pencil allows you to rename your item. At the activity and resource level, you can use the pencil for editing as well. And the gear lets you edit settings and change wording. Now let's look at other icons. We can see those at the course level. Let's go ahead and look at a course. So if we look at the icons here, notice there's an X. That means you can delete it. There's an I. If the I is open, it means that the item is visible to students. But if the I is closed, has a slash through it like that, it means that it's invisible. Duplicate item, that's there. This is one that lets you form groups. And the arrow allows you to indent. And here's the move icon, and it allows you to move things around like this. However, if JavaScript is not on, you have to use up and down arrows on your keypad. So let's practice setting up a new course. So let's go back to the home page, and let's just quickly review how to set up and edit a new course. We go to Site Administration, click on it, and then we find Courses, and we click Add Edit Courses. We're going to practice modifying a course. We can add a new course, Creative Writing Workshops, and we could edit the category. We can resort courses. We can also create a new course here. And it's a good place for us to create a little sandbox so we can practice adding elements. In the next section, we'll walk through the course and adding typical course components. Welcome to section 1.3, creating a course and adding typical course components. So we'll talk about and review how to add a course. We're at the home page, so we may need to make sure that settings are on. And let's scroll down to site administration. Click on it, go to courses, and then scroll down a bit, and let's edit courses. So I've added a course here, and now here's where you put in the name, short name, category. You can choose the drop-down menu, and there are different elements: start date, whether it's visible, description, summary, etc. And the course format's important. What do you choose? Topics is flexible. Weekly is good if you've got different instructors. And also you have social in there. Now, appearance, critical thing here, show the gradebook to students. Another important element is completion tracking. Make sure that's selected. Now, let's assume that we've created the course. Now let's just go back to my courses and let's pick Workplace Success, and just let's remember how to add elements. So we turn editing on. Now it's on. And remember, you add elements in your course here in the drop-down menus. So for the resources, you've got book, file, folder, label, page, etc., URL. And if you add an activity, you can have an assignment. You can also add checklist, choice, which is kind of multiple choice, a forum for interaction, assessment is possible in a quiz. So here we have quiz, lesson. You have quite a bit of choice and selection here at Workshop. So now that we have learned how to add the different elements, in the next section we'll talk about creating and adding themes. 1.4. Welcome to What is a Moodle Theme? A theme is a skin, and it can completely change the look and feel of your course, and also the entire site. For customizing the entire site and creating a consistent look and feel for all your courses, selecting a theme is great. For course level changes, we can modify course format and also modify individual items. We'll review those aspects in future sections. Remember that a theme is a plugin. To review themes, you may go to the Moodle plugin directory and then click on Themes. I've done so, and so now we can review themes. The themes appear the most recent ones first. So remember, there is a strong link between appearance and functionality. It's important to keep the course clean and to hide superfluous, potentially confusing elements. In addition to helping students feel confident, themes can also keep students engaged and interested, so they'll be motivated to keep moving through the course. Keep the graphics engaging, but not overwhelming or distracting, and also always pique their curiosity. Themes can help you build a unique look and feel and brand identity. So there are many contributed themes that you can access, and we're going through those here. And notice you can download them. We're in the plugin directory under Themes. So many of the themes may already be installed with the version of Moodle that your institution or Moodle provider is using. One theme that is new with Moodle 2.5 and still is available in 2.6 and beyond is the Clean theme. So notice Clean. It has a 3-column display on desktops and laptops, and it is responsive, which is to say that it is designed to detect the device you're using, laptop, desktop, tablet, smartphone from Moodle, and to display it correctly. Notice Clean is a modified Moodle Bootstrap theme which inherits styles and renders them from its parent theme. And notice also that in the plugin directory, and also if you want to learn more about themes, you can go through, you can connect and get more information. And in the next section, we'll look at Clean and other themes and discuss introductory way how it and other themes can help you quickly change the appearance of your course. 1.5. Welcome to How Themes Help You. Let's take a closer look at how themes can quickly help you improve user experience. as well as develop brand identity and a unique look and feel. So right now we're just taking a quick look at how we can optimize user experience. So we're looking at different themes just to familiarize ourselves. Let's start with clean theme since we're comfortable with it. So let's go to Site Administration, click Open it up, scroll down, find Appearance, click on Themes, Theme Selectors. Right now we're just going to look at attributes. So notice, let's click on Clean. Now, clean theme is very open, it's very straightforward. There aren't a lot of options, but you do have the opportunity to put a navigation bar, add your logo, custom CSS, and footnote, and you can save changes. Now, let's look at a core set that would work, that we want to be able to work on lots of different devices. We want it to be responsive. Let's go to LearnStar. Now, LearnStar is a responsive theme. It's flexible. It gives you an ability to customize. Notice I've put in an image for a logo. Also has footnote, custom CSS. Now, here's where it's a little bit unique and compared to clean. It has a chance to choose a flavor, different colors, and also you can link to social media, and you don't have to go in and customize a CSS. It's just they've built it in to the theme. So this is a really good start, and it's easy to use. Now let's say that we want to have even more flexibility, more options. Let's go in and look at a different theme. Let's click on Essential. Now we click on Essential, boom, we get an entire menu of options. We have General Settings, which looks pretty much like the other general settings. You have Logo, but here you have font selector, user's picture. Notice all the different ways that you can update. And then also you can do a custom menu, color settings, etc. Those are really nice in terms of being able to create a unique look. But let's take a look, first of all, at, notice you can put in a front page slideshow. If you want to introduce a slideshow at the very beginning of your first page, you can customize front page content. Not going to go into detail here, but let's also finally look at social networking. Now we had a little bit of social networking at LearnStar. Now check it out. Amazing array. LinkedIn, Google+, Instagram, YouTube, Skype, on and on. The point is that we're not going to go into all the details and customize right now. I just want to introduce you to the idea of contributed themes and what they can offer you and how easy it is to work with them. In the next section and unit, we are going to go into more detail and look at customizing the elements within Moodle. Welcome to section 2. In this section, we will learn about prepackaged and contributed themes in Moodle and how to start selecting themes that will work well with the kind of courses you'll be developing. We'll take a close look at the themes, and I'll help you see that there are different types and categories of Moodle themes. It's not obvious at first, but after you've worked with Moodle themes for a while, you'll start to see that there are what I like to think of as generic classifications. So let's take a look at some of the themes. Right now we're at the homepage for your course, but let's go ahead and look at plugins. And remember that a theme is a plugin. So if we want to know more about themes, we can just go to the plugin directories and we click on themes. Now, one of the advantages of using contributed themes is that they have been reviewed and beta tested, or at least tried out with different people. So in fact, you can go to Moodle and find different reviews of themes. So for example, you can go to the theme forum and find out what people have said about different themes. And you can also go to plugins in the plugin directory and look there. So for example, here, this is using the Essential theme. What have people said about Essential theme? Well, we can see. We talk about theme families, and what I'd like to do is have you take a look at standard themes. So notice we're going back to Moodle Docs, and we are looking at standard themes, and this is under themes. Again, if you want to learn about themes, go to Moodle Docs, and here are theme settings, standard themes, installing a new theme. We're going to visit those other elements later, but right now we're just going to specifically look at standard themes. Let's scroll down and notice that if you're wanting to find the sort of theme families, you can look at all of these that are considered the standard themes. And if you click on each one, it will give you different information about each one. Also, Moodle Docs has conveniently let you sort of cluster things about like which ones will let you change a logo. You could say that's a family, certainly, or allow custom CSS, themes with right-hand columns. I would say that also it's useful to look at themes from the point of view of which ones are built on underlying themes like Holy Grail or Bootstrap, but that's not necessarily important to know at this point. The key is to understand which ones are critical to what you need to do. So for example, if you want to have like a responsive theme, Fusion is another theme, and it's based on Base and Canvas, the parent theme. So those are sort of families, and it does a lot of things that are very, very useful to you. So I'd like to go ahead and talk about how you can learn more about themes if you click on the different things from the standard theme directories. We went to click on Clean. Here it is. And in Clean, this is a responsive theme that adjusts to look good in whatever device that you have. So there are page comments, there are sources, you can look at recent changes, overview. Moodle Docs provides all kinds of information about each theme as you start to go forward. So in this section, we've talked about overview of where to find themes and how to identify different kinds of theme families and standard themes. In the next section, we will talk about theme settings. Welcome to section 2.2, Theme Settings. Let's learn how to change the theme settings in our Moodle course. Please keep in mind that when you change theme settings, it's a global change. So if you want to make specific settings and customizations, you can do that as well. But we'll be addressing those things later. Right now, we're working with global settings. So let's start with our landing page, our first home page, and let's scroll down to Site Administration, and notice that we are going to be looking at Appearance. And then we go to Appearance, we click on Themes, and here we have Theme Settings. So if you go to Theme Settings, this is what it looks like. And again, the path is Home, then Site Administration, Appearance, Themes, Theme Settings. Now let's scroll down and look at the default settings for all the different elements. There's Theme List, Theme Designer Mode, default is No. Now, let's look at all the defaults that are No. Allow user themes, course themes, category themes, changes in the URL, users to hide blocks, blocks to use the doc. The reason that we say no in all these is that you don't really want everybody to have the opportunity to change the themes for each course. If you are developing a theme for branding purposes, you want to make sure that there's some continuity and uniformity in the appearance. If you want to do changes, custom changes across all your courses in a global way, here's a place to put your CSS. And also, here's another really, really critical element, enable device detection. Yes, if you want responsive websites and you want to be able to make sure that your course looks good, tablet, smartphone, make sure that you enable device detection. So if you get lost, you can go to Moodle.org and search. You can go directly to Moodle Docs and Theme Settings. We're in 2.6. You can scroll down and go into a more detailed explanation of the different elements and each option. So these are really good opportunities to know a little bit more about the settings. And at this point, you'll have significant flexibility to go into the customization here and also when you do your theme selection. So now we've looked at the settings, let's move forward and look about how to actually select the themes. And so we'll talk about that in our next section. Thank you. Welcome to section 2.3, Theme Selector. Now that we've taken a look at theme settings, let's look at Theme Selector. As usual, we start at the home page, and we're using Elegance. That's the name of the theme. It's a contributed theme. And as opposed to some 3-column settings that have the navigation bar on the left, this is on the right. So it's a little bit different, and it's kind of smart because it focuses your eye on the content rather than on the navigation. So from a learning standpoint, it's a really nice, elegant solution. As usual, let's scroll down and we go to Administration and Site Administration. Click on this, and again, we look down and we look at Appearance, and there are themes. And here's what we will click, Theme Selector. But before we actually click on Theme Selector, let's see what options we have. In this particular installation, we have lots of options for different themes that we want to try out. And notice both Elegance and Essential have expandable menus. That means they have lots of customizable things built in. And I've chosen Elegance here. And notice you have general settings, logos and colors, user items, slideshow, marketing spots, quick links. And here is potentially one thing that could be very, very interesting for you, and that is the social networking abilities. So there's quite a bit of expandable stuff here. So just to give you an idea of what happens when you expand any of these are the things that are built in. So look at all the ability that you have to work with and integrate in social networking. But let's go back how to select it. We've looked at the capabilities and we've looked at the description in Elegance. That's not actually how we select it. How we select it is we go up to Theme Selector, and notice I already have it's selected, but if you want to change it, you would want to perhaps clear theme caches and then click Change Theme. And as you change the theme, notice all the ones that are built in, that all the contributed and also installed themes that are on, that your Moodle administrator has installed, are here for you to select. So when you do select it, you just simply click on Use Theme. So if you have any questions, you can always go to your Moodle docs. Meantime, let's keep on scrolling down, and here, let's go back and take a look at the fact that that's the default. Then we'd also perhaps want to change the theme for the mobile device. We can change that theme or unset it. And we could also change the theme for a tablet. Now, in a responsive theme like Elegance, you don't really have to, but it's not a bad idea to go ahead and make it uniform. We've talked about how to customize and how to select themes. Now we've learned how to select themes. Let's talk about matching the theme with course functionality. In the next section, 2.4, we will be looking at the best themes for assessment-based courses. Welcome to section 2.4, the best themes for assessment-based courses. In the last section, we looked at theme selectors and how to select themes. So in this one, we're going to talk about selecting a theme based on a specific purpose. So we've gone through and highly recommend using Arceus. And here's a little overview Arceus looks. Let's take a look at how we can specifically optimize and customize the appearance of Arceus to make it really effective for assessment-based courses. And remember, in assessment-based courses, you'll have automated quizzes or potentially interactive assessments, all types of things that need to be found easily by the students that are activities that are probably tied to a calendar. So notice here it gives you a chance to customize your logo, and you can put in a footnote. You can change the background color and header and footer colors, tabs colors. This is very important because if you change your tabs colors, you can actually change them so that they are effective and foreground the types of things that you want to emphasize. So if you want to say, okay, bright yellow, let's pay attention to upcoming exams or whatever, you can make your tabs color yellow, or you can color coordinate throughout. Also, color the current item in the custom menu, you can do that. All these different things that are kind of ticklers. Also, we can do a collapsible topics effect, which makes a very nice and clean approach. So you can focus on the things that you want people to focus on. Also, another thing that's nice about Arceus is that it allows you to incorporate JavaScript. So if you happen to have some assessments that require interaction and some animation that uses JavaScript, it's perfect. Now, here's the way that the course looks in Arceus. And notice how I've collapsed some of the menus and I've opened up others, but notice how neat and clean it is. The latest trends, search forums, upcoming events, and it's a 3-column effect. So you can have the description here, and then notice you can add a number of activities so that you could ostensibly have all of your different assessments up at the top. And now, in terms of site-wide things, let's take a look at how Arceus works. We need to add a calendar, so let's sort of scroll down and look under Appearance. Remember that calendars are in the themes, so you just open that up, and you can set the different kinds of calendar. You can have set up your calendar, and then that's a site-wide global thing. Then you can go back in, and in the course itself, say, maintaining your flower garden, then once you set up your core calendar, you can add activity, upcoming events, etc., and you can schedule things. And again, these different tabs are color-coded so that you can emphasize the things that you want to. I think that Arceus is very useful for assessment-based courses. It's flexible. It allows you to organize things neatly. It's 3-column. It isn't necessarily as flexible as some, but the fact that it's so clear counts for a lot. So in the next section, we will be talking about best themes for discussion-focused courses. Welcome to section 2.5, best themes for discussion-focused courses. In the last section, we talked about the best themes for assessment-based courses, and we looked at specific themes, and we looked at the different ways we could customize the appearance to make it effective. Now we're looking at discussion-based courses. Many courses are essentially collaborative, and they incorporate grading for interaction with students, and students will interact with each other in many different ways in the forum. So let's take a look at the types of themes that are appropriate for that. I'm looking at Brick. Brick is a very nice, very flexible, clean-looking contributed theme. You can put your own logo, and you can also customize the colors pretty easily. You don't have to go into CSS. Notice you can do the main color links. All these things are good for sort of foregrounding the colors for your activities, namely the discussion forum. So let's take a look at the general look and feel of Brick. Notice that the calendar is on the right side, the site administration page, so that you can make all the general changes here, and the navigation bar is on the right, and these are all collapsible administration. Now, what is so good about that? If it's discussion focused, notice this is 2 columns, not 3. You've got a lot of room in here for your discussion. So let's look at a specific course. This is maintaining your flower garden. Let's talk about marigolds. So here's the discussion forum, and notice it's very clear, lots of space. for you to really get into the discussion. I've clicked on this specific discussion. My marigolds are blooming, and it gives you a chance to take a look, and students can respond and they can see where they are. Now, another attribute of Brick is that the calendar, since it's so clear and straightforward, can be expanded in the right, and the colors can be expanded. But the essential two-column approach is not essentially changing at all. So notice in the discussion forum, you have a chance to customize the different ways of displaying the threads, and you can export it, you can move it, and you have plenty of space. You can reply, edit, export to portfolio. All these things are clear, and there's plenty of space because notice they're right on top in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. I highly recommend Brick, and I recommend customizing it in the ways that we've discussed in order to be effective in a discussion-based course. In the next section, we will look at the best ways to look at themes for other types of courses, for example, mobile devices, which overlaps with the general concept of discussing and finding responsive themes, but we will go in more depth and specifically look at design elements. Welcome to section 2.6, the best themes for multimedia and instruction-heavy courses. In the last section, we talked about learning about using the best theme and also the appearance in the theme for discussion courses. In this one, we're talking about multimedia and instruction that uses a lot of media. So I recommend LearnStar. We've talked about LearnStar before when we talked about responsive themes that are good with across all devices. They're good in tablets and also laptops and smartphones and desktops. Now, notice that the theme is nice and clear. It's customizable. It's responsive, which is important. It also is really nice because it has media opportunities in it in terms of social media. So let's take a look at the theme. Now notice here you can put a logo. I put a logo. I need to size the logo. Sort of big. We're only seeing the ceiling there. This is actually where it is. But notice you can customize the CSS, and it even tells you how. Now, let's go through and notice how you can choose a flavor for the themes. I've chosen blue, and you can link to your YouTube channel. This is incredibly important because you may have your instructional materials and your media in YouTube, and so you don't want to have to upload all of the media to Moodle. You can actually just import it in, embed it. Also, you can import it, link to Google+, another really important thing because you can use Google Drive and house a lot of your media there and instructional materials. So you don't have to do things twice. You just update in one place and use Moodle as your content management system. Also, you can link to Facebook if you so desire, and also Twitter. Twitter is excellent because anytime you send out an information thing, either by the entire site, say like you have a security issue on campus and you want everybody to get in touch, or you want to advise people about weather conditions, don't drive, cancellations, you can use your Twitter feed. Twitter feed can also be used just for the courses. So let's take a look at how LearnStar looks in the site management place. Okay, notice the calendar is on the right side. It's very clear. Notice we've used blue as our flavor. And your administration is back on the left side. So it's very clear. Then you could make the changes and edit the settings, etc. here and make appearance changes. Now, let's take a look at the individual course. Now, here this is an example of how we've embedded YouTube, and the actual course. Lots of wind noise there, so I'm just giving you a sense of how you can click on it and you can actually play it. Now, we are going to take a look at the YouTube channel, and let's say you have all your videos here, you can actually just let them know, and they can go back to the individual videos. So it's totally up to you. Again, I recommend LearnStar because of the flexibility and because it's ideal for mobile courses and multimedia and instruction-rich courses that require audio, video, and multimedia, as well as things that you might house in Google Drive in your content management system. So in this video, we've talked about instructional approaches, instruction-heavy courses. In the next section, we will go into a little bit more detail in best themes for social media-heavy courses. We've looked at social media in almost all of these, but we'll just take a closer look at how exactly they'll look. Welcome to section 2.7, Best Themes for Social Media-Heavy Courses. So I used to think that Rocket and Splash were about the best for social media courses because if you look at Splash, you can see that it has a nice, clean feeling about it. And also, you can move things like around and put links and embeds within here. And so it would be pretty good. Same with Rocket. It has a nice appearance that makes it very non-Moodle-y. And that's exciting too. I really like it because you could do embedded posts and social media in the different areas within the homepage or the front page and in your course. That all changed though when Essential came in. I've changed over here to Essential. You can see this is the homepage, its basic appearance. And if you scroll down, I'm going to show you right now why I decided that Essential is just wonderful for social media heavy courses. It's set up so that you really have to do very little CSS and custom things. There are in the theme settings page, you have the opportunity to update and put your social media here. So let's just take a look. So if we go down to themes and we kind of take a look at Essential, notice already it has all kinds of options built in. Isn't this nice? A social networking specific page. And all you have to do is plug it in. So if your website, Facebook URL, Flickr, Twitter, Google Plus, or if you're using Google Drive, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube. I've already put in YouTube, even Skype and vContact. And then it automatically puts the chiclet icon here. So I just, think that this is sort of designed to be social media heavy. Why go to the trouble of redesigning or customizing, writing all sorts of CSS when Essential is right here? And by the way, it's gotten very, very high ratings from reviewers. So in this section, we've talked about how to work with courses that are social media heavy. And we looked at how if you put in your YouTube feed, it automatically put the icon at the top of the homepage. And then also, of course, you can put the embeds, etc., in any of the areas in the course itself. And the 3-column and 2-column layout is very clean and clear. So we've talked about that. And in the next unit, we'll talk about using and designing courses and themes for mobile Moodle. Welcome to section 2.8, Designing for Mobile Moodle. Many of your students will be working with multiple devices, and that means that you really need to have a responsive theme, one that will look good on desktop, laptop, and also smartphones and tablets. So let's take a look at the standard themes. Let's just point out some of the ones that we know are responsive. One that we know is Aerialist. Aerialist is responsive. Another one is the Clean theme. And also, we might take a look at Splash. It also is responsive. But let's take a look at specific themes that will be good. Simple is not one of the standard themes, but it has been designed specifically to work across devices. That's a kind of nice thing because notice how it automatically changed the display. So if you're looking at a monitor for your desktop, it looks one way, has 3 columns. The tablet, it has a 2-column. And then for smartphone, it has 1. So, and then also if we take a look at how it looks in different samples, pretty attractive, really. Kind of impressed. So Simple is a really good one to use as a responsive one. And also Clean. Clean is developed specifically also to be responsive, and it's kind of used as a basis. Number of other developments. So if somebody's developing a theme, they often use Clean. But I have to say that I'm totally sold on Essential. So Essential is this layout for we're looking at with just a laptop. But I like it because, first of all, if you're going to be using a lot of social networking with your different devices, notice how lovely it is that once I entered in all the different accounts, and I just put in some of them, I didn't put in all, notice the icons populate the top of the page. So you don't even have to hunt around and look for it. You don't have to create something. This is global across your entire site on all your courses. But I'm going to show you something that will make you even more sold on Essential. Notice that when we're in themes and we're looking at theme profiles, if you have Essential, you can open up the different files, and notice you have general settings, custom menu, color settings, front page, slideshow, etc. All really good. Social networking, which we've already gone through. But here, could this be more perfect for using it with mobile devices? So we click on this, and notice you can link on your app to get your students using mobiles. So this is just, to me, something that's just totally geared for the future. Very impressive. My highest recommendation goes to the Essential theme for using Moodle for mobile devices or across different devices. So we've wrapped up this section. We've reviewed a number of themes and matched them to the uses and functions of your Moodle course. And in the next section, we are going to learn how to customize the appearance of activities in Moodle. 3.1. Welcome to Section 3, Customizing the Appearance of Activities. Now that you know how to select and change themes which set the appearance of the entire course, you may wish to customize the appearance of various elements and applications. With this knowledge, you'll have more tools at your disposal, and you'll be able to customize your course so that its appearance corresponds with functionality and, of course, with the overall goals and objectives. So in this section, which is 3.1, we're going to learn how to customize a calendar. So we're in the main page, in the main menu, on the home page. So let's go ahead and customize the appearance. So let's do that by going to Site Administration. Click here. Let's go to Appearance. And then under Appearance, let's click Calendar. Notice we'll go to Calendar, and here is where you can customize the calendar across the entire site. But let's say that we want to go ahead and customize a calendar for a separate course. Let's go back to the home page, and let's click on Courses. So you want to select the course, and when we do so, we want to think about which type of calendar event we want to add. So let's go to Maintaining Your Flower Garden. Now, make sure that you have editing on. See, this is already on. And let's go to Upcoming Events. Now we can go here, we go to Calendar. And we go to Calendar. We decided we can either eliminate Pug Ballet lessons, but we like that. So we're going to just add a new event. And the event may be When to Water Your Marigolds. Anyway, so we want this to be in this course only, rather than the entire site or the user. We can put Water Marigolds, and then we can put a description here. We can also put the duration, and also we can make it a repeated event so that it repeats many times or never. Then we can save the changes. Now, after you've done that, you can go back and decide to add another event or just save it. So now that you know how to add calendar events, in the next section, we'll learn how to customize discussion forums. 3.2. Welcome to Discussion Customization. If you're using Moodle, chances are you selected it because it is very discussion and interaction friendly. Some courses even consist primarily of extended discussions. Even if your course has more elements than a series of discussion forums, you'll definitely want to be able to customize the appearance of your forums. In this section, we will learn about how to configure the discussion forum so that its appearance meets instructional needs. We will include different forum types: nested, themed, flat. If you are looking for an option for a discussion forum and are not satisfied with Moodle's discussion forums, you may wish to use Piazza. Let's look at it here. It's a free discussion meeting place which works with social media and email addresses to make communication and updates very convenient. It takes about 2 minutes for the professor to set it up, and here's a key thing, it integrates well with Moodle. But let's say that we want to stay with Moodle's built-in discussion forum. Why would we want to take time to customize it? The main reason is that we'd like to make sure the students do not get lost. The best way to demotivate a student is to make them feel lost and to frustrate them. We do not want to do that. So here's how to customize the appearance of forums in a global way within your theme. Again, notice that we are at the home page. And let's now go to Site Administration. Let's scroll down, click on Site Administration to open the menu. Now, let's go to Plugins. Go down, click, and here's Plugins. Now as we look at Plugins, we notice all these different options. Let's go to Activity Modules. And Activity Modules, you'll see Forum. It's in alphabetical order, so it is in the Fs. Now, notice we can display the mode, and so we have the drop-down default is nested, but we can also do oldest first, newest first, and threaded, and nested. The replies will appear nested with the post they respond to. It sets up conversations quite nicely. Responses start with RE:, and the date of the response appears on the right-hand side. Now, if we look at display flat, oldest first, this option means that it will not be clear when a student is responding specifically to another student. The display will be a list and not a conversation. Display flat with newest first. This display is useful when you want to see the latest posts. It does not show a, quote, conversation. Display replies in threaded form. This is where the initial post is shown in its entirety, but the responses are offset and truncated. Okay, so after you've selected that, you may go through and set criteria. So as you set the criteria, you can think about the functionality. Let's review the ways to customize the appearance so that your forum's appearance is ideal for your courses. So use email address and reply. You may specify the email addresses. You may have a long post. You might want to restrict the length of the characters. So that means that the ones that in excess of the length will be truncated. You might want to have a maximum size. The default is 500K. Sometimes you want longer if you've got audio files, etc., or large graphics. If they are huge files, you may not want people to upload them directly to Moodle. You may want them to upload YouTube or something and provide a link. There are also other options which may not be as critical. Remember that when you save changes, you've set the forum settings general appearance globally. To change the appearance and settings for each course, you may do so in the activity screens after you've turned on the editing within each course. So in the next part, section 3.3, we will show how to create a mini library or a course material repository. Developing a mini library, which is a course material library, is advantageous because it allows students to go to a single place and obtain the materials they need. 3.3. Welcome to section 3.3, Creating a Mini Library. We will learn about customizing the appearance of your course and making it easy to find the materials needed. So we're going to solve the problem of forcing students to waste time hunting for materials. So we're going to create a mini library within the course. So let's go to Site Administration and let's click on Courses. Remember, these are global. And let's click on Course Default Settings. We have an 8-topic course. Now, what we want is to make sure that we're in a topics format and that we have 10 sections. 10 because we have an 8-week course and we want to have at least one of those topics devoted to our materials. So now that we've created the custom global setting, let's go back to our course and let's go to Success in the Workplace. Now we've added additional topics. So even though this is an 8-topic course, we have an extra one topic, and that is library. So let's look at the library and let's look at book. So notice we can edit it and we can add more books in the library. We can add other things in resources. And then once we have the book, we can actually edit the settings and we can upload more. So let's look at edit settings and let's look at the book administration and generate and import a chapter. So once we import a chapter, we can look at HTML files. We can upload zip files in HTML, and by doing so, we combine them all together, and we have an entire book. So it's extremely useful and a good way to make sure that all of your materials are together and your students can easily find them. In the next section, we will learn how to customize assessments, namely quizzes. 3.4. Welcome to 3.4, Customizing Assessments and Quizzes. If you don't customize the appearance of your assessments, chances are they will be hard to find, and it will not be clear how they connect to learning goals. So we're going to address the issue of customizing quizzes so that they flow with your appearance and connect with content. So we're doing this so that we can make sure that students feel comfortable with assessment. We're also making sure that students do not confuse a practice quiz with a graded quiz. Better way to do that than color-coding the practice quizzes and the graded quizzes. We can easily avoid confusing cookie-cutter quiz appearance. So let's start by adding a topic for each unit. We've already done that, so let's just set up an example unit with quizzes. So let's add an activity. So let's go to a course and let's go to Success in the Workplace. And let's just run down here and let's add an activity. And let's do it in practice. But let's make sure first that we have our settings editing on. So let's go up here and turn editing on. Now let's go back and let's make sure that we put all of our quizzes in one location, and let's call it Wrap Up in Practice. So let's put it here, and let's make sure that we add an activity. So let's add a quiz. And then as we add the quiz, let's click on quiz. So you have lots of options. Here it is. Now we wait. And let's customize the colors, appearance, and functionality in the links. Let's just put Uno, quiz 1. And let's say, how do we make sure that the layout is different? Well, we can do that within Topic using HTML, or what you see is what you get, authoring tools. And we can also show the editing tools here, and then we can make sure that there's a link to the activities. So let's create a link within the topic. Now within quiz, we can edit the module settings by clicking the edit link. So here we can change the layout and question behavior review options, and thereby making it clear that there's a difference between this module and the actual practice. So we can do practice module and put a link and customize it. And then we can do other things as well. We can put different icons. We can import an image, and we can insert an image and make sure that we have something that indicates practice. Select the image, find it, browse, find all kinds of interesting things in pictures. We have all kinds of choices. Anyway, in the next section, we'll learn how to create a workshop that can be used for a portfolio project. 3.5. We are talking about how to customize Workshop to make it ideal for portfolios. It's useful because students can see growth and progress, and with Workshop, when it's configured in a certain way, it allows you to develop portfolios. Portfolios are popular because they give a chance for students to showcase their work and turn in many drafts and versions that show the progress and development of the final product. And the product can be a document, a graphic, a presentation, a video, or more. Mahara is an open source e-portfolio web application, and in point of fact, Mahara is much more function-rich than Moodle's Workshop. Mahara allows the easy embedment of social media resources. Your Moodle administrator may have made Mahara available to you. So let's just go and check to see if our lovely site administrator, Moodle administrator, is Mahara happy. So let's go in here and look under plugins. Now, scroll down, and under plugins, you will see portfolios. Under portfolios, you'll click it and you will see manage portfolios. Let's click manage portfolios and see what comes up. And in this case, we have a list. We have Box, .NET, File Download, Flickr, Google Docs, Picasa. These are all platforms we can use in developing a collaborative portfolio project. Now here's Mahara ePortfolio, and not only is it disabled, it's not installed. We can't do anything with it. Not possible, at least with the settings that I have. But we have other opportunities. So if your institution uses Google Docs, or if you'd like students to create image or video portfolios, you might wish to enable Flickr. And see how you can do it is just go here and enable and make it visible. And if you do so, then your students can create video and also portfolios of photographs, and they can share them and collaborate. And the same goes with Google Docs. So they allow people to do different kinds of versions and allow different types of collaboration. A file download is just simply what a file download. So let's go and set up our workshop, and we can do so by modifying the global appearance of all workshops. So let's go back to Site Administration, Plugins, Activity Modules, and let's go click on Workshop. Now, notice that we have the key things to customize are grading strategy, and let's make sure it's a cumulative, notice, and also mode of examples assessment. We want to make sure it's voluntary, even though we can change it, and they can be assessed in different ways. And also in the grading strategy, let's look at number of errors, and the word for the error would be no, and also word for success is yes. Now, on the course level grading strategies, we need to go back to our courses. So let's go here, and let's go ahead and add a workshop and customize it in Success in the Workplace. So we turn editing on, and let's scroll down, and let's add a workshop. Here we go. Here's a workshop. And here we put the workshop name, description, and then again, grading strategy. And one of the key things here is we want to be able to display the description on the course page as soon as we put it. So let's click there. And also we want to be able to put submission settings, instructions for assessment, and feedback. So essentially make sure that you customize this part. So again, this is the course level customization for workshop. And you did the course level or site level customization back in Site Administration. So in the next section, 3.6, we will learn how to use workshop for collaboration and group projects. 3.6. In 3.5, we talked about using a workshop for portfolio. You can show individual progress, etc. And also, you can have a cumulative grading. Now, let's say we want to use groups and do portfolios in groups and be collaborative. Well, let's look at Home, which is our home page, My Courses. Let's go into this course, Workplace Success. We've added a new workshop. Now, we're doing this in course level. We will not make the change globally unless we find it to be really necessary. But let's show where to make groups available. And where we do that is in Common Module Settings. So scroll down until we see Common Module Settings. So here it is. It might be compressed. You might need to expand it. Let's say Show. And then we also make sure that we have visible groups. And if we want, we can do groupings. Here we have none at this point. So that's how you do groups in course level. But let's say we want to do it across and do it globally. Let's leave the page. Let's go to Site Administration. And we go here. And we go to Plugins. And then let's look at Activity Modules, because remember, a workshop is an activity module. And in the workshop, we can look to see if we can do common module settings here and set up groups here. And notice you cannot. So if you want to set up groups, you really need to do it at course level. So in the next section, we are going to talk about course elements and learn how to customize the appearance of them in your course. In this section, we've learned about customizing the appearance of activities. Welcome to Section 4, Customizing Appearance of Resources. 4.1, Adding URLs and Changing Links. In this section, we will discuss how to customize the appearance of resources in your course. We will learn how to change the appearance of your course by creating links that have a distinctive appearance, which can help you in many ways. So first, if you know how to customize the appearance of your course and your links, you can make it easier for your students to connect to external websites you'd like them to see. That includes media. So one good area is to do it in the summary and overview section. Let's say that we're in this course, Overview of Maintaining Your Flower Garden, and we're in the Summary and Overview area. So let's just open it up. Let's take a look. Let's say that we want to add an MP3 file because we have an audio introduction. And we've made the subject introductions. Well, let's say that we don't want to just simply have them link to an MP3 player file. We want them to actually launch a player. Well, we could launch it by going to SoundCloud and embedding a lot of code, or we can use Moodle's multimedia plugins filter. So if you want to know a little bit about that, we'll go to the filters area. But let's say that you want to read about it. Let's see what it looks like in Moodle Docs, Moodle plugins filter. And you can read more about it. Notice it's in site administration. So let's go again to the screen. Notice you're at first at site administration. And you click in plugins, and you click filters, and then manage filters. And this is what it looks like here in the window here. So here's what your menu looks like. Now, in this case, I have a lot of plugins, and we have a lot of filters. So we have the multimedia plugins, and we make sure that it is active, and we apply it to content. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So notice here we're back in the summary overview. We've opened it up. We have the web editor, and notice we've copied and pasted the URL. And now, once we save it, we click on Save. Once we know that we have the multimedia plugin selected, notice instead of having to click on the URL and launch an external player, we can just have a player within Moodle. So this is very helpful, and it's one way to customize the appearance and the functionality of your links. So in the next unit, we will talk about creating clickable icons that will go directly to a resource, and they could be essentially a graphics image or a little chiclet. And in the next unit, we'll learn how to do that. Welcome to section 4.2, Creating Icons for Clickable Links from Images to Resources. So in this section, we'll learn about how to take our images and make them clickable resources so that they go to the website we want them to go to. So we're in our course. Overview of Maintaining Your Flower Garden is our summary. So what we want to do is go ahead. We've already added this attractive image. Now we want to edit it. So let's click on Edit Summary. Now we have the image. So we click on the image, and notice we make this into a link. So we click Insert Link. Now remember, this is where we want it to go, is the Botanical Society of America. The link that we used for the image is something different. That's when we made the link, but now we're wanting the link to go to the society. So we add the link URL, put the target, and we put the title, Botanical Society. And we can expand it later, and let's hit Insert. And also notice we've already put a link for the text. And if we want to edit the image and make it a different size, we can do that later too. But right now we'll just keep it the same size. So to give you a sense of how to do this, we'll just save changes. And now we have a clickable link. So we click on this, and notice it goes to the American Botanical Society. So that's how you do it. In this section, we've learned how to create links that go to images and to different websites. In the next section, we will talk about customizing the link appearance. Welcome to section 4.3. We'll be customizing the link appearances. So we have several ways to do this. Remember, we have our image in summary in our Maintaining Our Flower Garden course. So let's go to Edit Summary. And as we do this, notice these images come up. Well, we think that this image is too large. So let's click on the image and let's go up to the image icon, Edit Image. And then we can edit the appearance here. So it's much too large for a Moodle course. So let's just make it, say, 30 pixels, say 20. And we can keep or let's make it a little bit bigger, 50. We've constrained the proportion, so it'll always be the same proportion. And let's just do update. We still don't have a description. We can put that in later. So now if we want to click on it, just click the link. Now let's say that we want to put in a list of different links, and we have the Botanical Society of America. We also want to put the Royal Botanic Gardens in London. So let's just say Kew Gardens. We want to find the link to it. So here it is. So copy the link address, the URL. Let's go in here, Kew Gardens, and notice the link is here. So we'll put the link in, and we're just going ahead and we can customize all these things later. This is, by the way, this is 2.6 Moodle. Now to change the appearance, we can do bold. We can change the font size, 18-point font family. We can do Georgia. We can change the color. We can put it in a different list. But these are basically the different ways you can do it. You can use the what you see is what you get window, or if you prefer to do HTML, you can. That's easy enough to do. If you do that, you would simply just move out of the what you see is what you get and go into the HTML menu. So let's go ahead and save changes. And so in this section, we've learned how to customize the link appearance and essentially change the appearance of your course. We can change the icons and also change the appearance of the text. In the next section, we will talk about audio files and how to embed players or create a link to a plugin. Welcome to section 4.4, audio files, embedding a player or creating a link to a plugin. In this section, we will learn about the best ways to customize the appearance of your course in a way that facilitates access to audio files and MP3 players. So let's say that we want to put an audio file in Maintaining Your Flower Garden. So we're in topic 5, and we've decided to recreate the title name, the section name. We're calling it Travel Audio, and we're going to put a track from SoundCloud. We found a nice one called Leper Farm, so I guess we're going to visit the leper farm in our travel audio in our garden. And what we're going to do is click on Share. So notice we have a couple of ways to share. You can either get the link, which would allow you to make a hyperlink, or we can embed the code. So let's go with embedding the code at this point. So let's copy it, and then let's go into Edit. We need to edit the HTML because we can't just post it into the frame. Go to, here's the HTML editor. Let's click here, paste it. So now we go ahead and update, and notice we have now the entire little icon and an embedded player. But let's say we didn't really want that. We wanted just a link. Well, if that's the case, essentially we can do the same thing, but we don't have to go ahead and go to the HTML editor. We can just simply embed a link. So let's go to the link in SoundCloud. Let's copy it, and we click on Link. Let's go ahead and link to Leper Farm. So we can just put Leper Farm, which is the name of the link, and then we click here, and we click the link, paste the link URL, and title Leper Farm, and we can insert. And as usual, we can put little things to say it's audio, put little icons. We can change the font family. We can make it big. We can make it little. We can make it gigantic. We do all kinds of things. We can make it bold and copy it, also configure it so that every single audio file is consistent in your course. So let's go ahead and save changes. And it's very clear that this is an audio file. I really like embedding the code because you get the sound file, you get the clear appearance of the fact that it's an audio. So in this case, we have learned how to modify the appearance of audio files and links to audio files and discuss two different ways to do them, either by embedding code or by just linking to a URL. In the next section, we're going to talk about embedding videos and changing the appearance of links to videos. Welcome to section 4.5, embedding videos and changing the appearance. Remember in the last section, we learned how to change the appearance of audio files. We could either embed or just simply change the appearance of the link. The same applies with videos. I'm going to show you how to do it with YouTube. We're in the editing screen, and what we want to do is learn how to share. So in this case, we want to embed the HTML. So we go in and we've embedded the HTML, and that's why it looks like this. But let's say that we want to add a link directly. We can do that too. We just share this video. And notice if we look at this, we may be sharing the entire list rather than just simply the simple video. We have to be very careful about that. In this case, it's the individual video. So that's good instead of the entire stream. So we just go ahead and copy it and paste it. But we already know how to do that, but let's just do it anyway. So copy it, and we can say link to video, and make sure that we put the link in. We put the link URL, and we can put a title later. We'll just insert it, and we can change the appearance, etc., just by putting bold and different fonts, etc. We can do all kinds of things. Now, we can also change the appearance in another way too. So let's say that we've got the pop-up width and the pop-up height. We can change the size of the video by doing this. And we can do embed, and we can also change the size. We can also avoid having the description and custom one. We can also change different kinds of variables with the URL, so we can make it look different ways. We have all sorts of different options in Moodle. So those are different things we can do with the appearance of our links and with the video. Of course, this goes with all sorts of things that we may want to customize, but I'm just focusing right now on video. So then you would save video and return to the course. So in this section, we've really focused on embedding videos and changing the appearance of videos. In the next section, we'll talk about using geographical information systems and maps and changing the appearance of the course, customizing, using geographical information. Welcome to section 4.6, incorporating Google Maps and GPS information. In this section, we're going to learn how to incorporate geographical information in your Moodle course and to modify the appearance of your course doing that. So let's go to our basic summary course that's in topics, and let's look at how to do this. So let's say that we want to go to the Oklahoma City Botanical Gardens. Really attractive, and we want to be able to incorporate geographical information in addition to images potentially later. So we can go to Google Maps, and we essentially go to here and we find HTML that we want to embed. So let's go back to our edit screen. Let's click on the URL, source editor. Let's click on, we've copied it and we've pasted it. I often like to unclick word wrap because it sometimes wraps and breaks all the links, etc. So let's click update, and notice how it just incorporates all the information that you need, which is quite interesting. And let's go ahead and save changes. So now we have the information that's in Google Maps. Now, it's embedded, so if somebody wants to go into Street View, etc., we have all those options so that they can actually do that. Essentially, remember that when it's embedded, it's live, undo this, and then do the Street View. And this, notice that we're within your Moodle course, and you can still just walk around and have all this wonderful ability to see all this geographical data. And a little bit scary in a way, in terms of what you can see, but you can walk along and go to the actual, here's the entrance, etc. They can also link to the actual map, the URL, so that if they want to see some of the attractive pictures, they can. So now we've learned how to embed Google Maps and enhance the appearance of your course with geographical information. And we finished. So in this section, we've really focused on improving the appearance of our courses by incorporating geographical things. In the next section, we are going to look at cascading style sheets and learning how to customize the appearance of our courses by actually going in and changing things like colors, etc., things that are part of the overall appearance. Welcome to Section 5, Using Cascading Style Sheets for Modifying Built-in Themes. Section 5.1, What are Cascading Style Sheets? There are different ways to look at cascading style sheets. I'm going to show you the URL www.w3.org, and I recommend going here if you want to know what cascading style sheets are, or CSS for short. And essentially, it's a simple mechanism for adding style. When we say style, we mean fonts, colors, spacing to web documents. And these are good pages to go to because they let you know what the basic content is and how to learn to use coding and the software that you can use with HTML and CSS, and essentially how to use it with any kind of web development. Now, as you know, Moodle is a web-based program. Chances are, though, you do not have admin rights, so that you can't really go in and change the HTML across the entire build of your course. You might be able to, but chances are you can't. So what we're going to do is show you how to use cascading style sheets within the different themes that makes it easy. So let's go to Style Administration, and we'll go to Appearance, and here we go to Themes. And I'm just going to go and show you a couple of themes that, once you go into them, they give you a lot of opportunities to change the cascading style sheets through their own theme style sheets. So essentially, when you're at Rocket, for example, Site Administration, Appearance, Themes, Rocket, and then you're here, and notice Rocket gives you the opportunity to customize the institution name. And remember that in cascading style sheets, you basically make a change one place and it affects it globally. Every single sheet or every single page will reflect those changes. So you don't have to go in and modify every single page. So here we go in terms of, you can add a logo, a banner. Notice you can put a banner, and you can also put the theme color. And here's the theme color. It automatically picks it out, and then you can hit save. You can even preview it. And the theme trim color, menu color. So these are the different customizable things in cascading style sheets that, instead of having to do the coding yourself, Rocket allows you to do it with a very convenient form. And you can do, at the end, custom CSS. You can put that in and change like the different element of the appearance of the fonts, etc., and background colors. Another one that lets you to make a lot of changes is Brick. Obviously, Rocket has a lot more, but Brick allows you to also customize a heading color, etc., and then you can save changes without having, and it will update this cascading style sheet in the website. So again, if you want to know more about the different kinds of authoring tools, etc., and you want to be able to do it yourself, this is a great resource. But in the meantime, I'm thinking the easy, fail-safe way is just to select themes that allow this automatically. So in section 5.1, we have learned about cascading style sheets. In the next unit, we will talk about common codes to use in CSS. Section 5.2. In the last section, we reviewed what cascading style sheets are and also the application, and we looked at a few themes in Moodle that make it possible for you to just plug in and automatically modify cascading style sheets. But let's look at CSS coding style just in case you really want to get into the details. A good place to go is Moodle Docs. So here's the URL, docs.moodle.org/dev/css_coding_style. Now, this gives you a chance to take a look at all the different opportunities and occasions where you would put in CSS and how the naming conventions work and how it looks. So it's basically going to be in your HTML, and it's going to be in a part that's all by itself, usually at the beginning of the HTML. It occurs there because, again, the changes that you make are going to tend to be global. So this is a really good opportunity to take a look at where the conventions are and what to do. Again, if you want to really take a look at what CSS is all about, here are the different things you can change: the appearance of visited links. Here's this. See, that's where you change the appearance of it. You can make a link that's a mouse over, it's a hover. You can do all kinds of things. Here are the different basic codes. You can memorize all these if you would like, or you can go to a CSS generator. And here's an interesting thing, like if you want to generate the code and just copy and paste, you can do that. How did I get to this? Well, I went to the CSS generator at css3.me, and essentially I clicked on Edit the Basics, and I just kind of changed the attributes. Box shadow, border radius, background gradient. You can make all these different colors. You can put from this and make it transparent to this, really crazy looking, and essentially do all kinds of things to create something unique. But you don't have to generate the code, you can get the code. And then you can copy and paste and put it into the right place in the website. And I'm assuming that you have server administration rights or Moodle. But if you don't, well then all this is sort of good to know, but what you'll really want to do is select themes that allow you to automatically plug things into the custom code. And here's a great place to get custom code. So essentially, in this section, we've talked about common codes to use in CSS and essentially where to get them if you want to generate custom codes, and if you want to know how to review the basics of coding CSS in Moodle, we've talked about the location in Moodle Docs. So in the next section, we're going to go a little bit further, and we're going to talk about colors in CSS. Welcome to section 5.3, colors in CSS. In the last section, we talked about different codes in CSS, where they go, some guides, what they do, etc. Now, right now we're going to talk about colors. Now, I would really highly recommend colors in CSS. Remember, these are codes that you will use. I would recommend going to Color Scheme Designer. Why? Because every color has a different code in CSS. So how do we find those codes? Well, here are different options. I mean, you can go Pantone. That's the way that we do in the past, but that's not really going to necessarily do it for us. So we can just look at the different types of colors and notice how these generate different colors, and it helps you pick the colors, and here's the code. So chances are, if you want this nice green, here's the code, RGB code, etc. Now, what do you do with this information? It's possibly useful. You can use it for creating code. If you're going to use code, I recommend going to Notepad instead of writing code, HTML code in Word, because if you use Notepad++, you can do the codes here, and it will allow you to avoid the macros that you'd find in either WordPad or Microsoft Word. But let's go back to an easy approach. And this is what I always think is a good way to go. Let's go back to our main page. And let's go to Site Administration. Why? Because when we go do anything here, we do it globally. So we're going to Appearance, clicking on Themes, and what are we going to do? We're going to click and select a theme that allows us to generate colors in CSS without having to do all of the custom coding. We will find that if we go to, for example, Rocket has a form that allows you to pick colors. So as we scroll down on the different things that Rocket allows us to do, we notice that, wow, instead of having to write out all the code and picking out the code, we can just simply do a theme color. We can click on it and notice that we can try different ones, and we can even preview. So like this nice yellow, and here's the code. Now we could do the theme trim color same way, yellow with, say, a nice bold blue. Isn't that attractive? Menu color. Right now it's gray. Let's do bright green. Seizure-inducing green. So in the menu hover color, we could do fuchsia. Here, menu trim color. Rocket's really amazing because check out all the different ways where it allows you to color CSS, and you don't have to go in and generate the code and strip out the macros by using Notepad++. You can just do it here. You would save changes, and then your template and your theme for all of your courses would be automatically modified in all these different colors. So in this section, we have learned how to choose colors in CSS. In the next section, we're going to talk about fonts in CSS. Welcome to section 5.4, Fonts in CSS. So in this section, we're going to learn about how to globally modify the fonts using CSS. And I'm going to refer you right now to a website that is csstext.com. And it's a way to just generate the codes that you need to plug into the CSS custom coding. So notice that it's a really nice little tool. All you have to do is figure out the word spacing, letter spacing, font size, font height. You can check out font family, say Palatino, Impact, font align, right, border style, dashed. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. You can pick out the colors here. So I like this nice reddish color. And then we can pick background color. we'll focus on the seizure-inducing types of things we can do. Border color. We can put text shadow color, all kinds of amazing things. And then we just save, and then it creates the different codes that then we go in and we can plug into wherever it says custom CSS. We just copy and paste it here. And that's one way to do it. Now, I'm all about using the themes that allow a lot of customization, and I'd just like to point out there's a very interesting new theme, Mutant Banjo, and what I like about it is if you're really interested in cool fonts, you don't have to go in and do all this doing things with the different font families, etc. It essentially gives you choices, and you can take a look. So if you go into your Mutant Banjo theme page, already builds in what you see is what you get, appearance of the different, like here's the body font. And I think this is quite attractive, this little font, Bitbillota. Notice that these are fonts that you're not necessarily going to see every day. I mean, there's not your Arial or whatever. Here's Cabin. This is Cabin Sketch. Henny Penny. Quattrocento Roman. So you've got serif and sans serif. It's a body. And then if you are interested in the theme heading, you can also change this. And basically, it's like you can at least take a look before you actually select. And there are quite a few options. They're similar, but some of them are quite different. That gives you a chance to do it in an easy way, but you can also, if you want to, put the CSS in here. Again, the code generator text, I highly recommend. And notice you can look at the different font families. And you can also generate oblique, italic, overline, horizontal shadow, opacity. Just gives you all kinds of options. And then it generates the text, generates the code that you can then, once you click get the code, you can, and I would recommend version 1 novice, copy and paste, and then plug into your CSS custom page. This is with Afterburner. Almost all of your themes will allow you to plug in custom CSS, so you don't have to talk to your administrator to do it. 2 different ways to do themes, and this section is focused on that. Next section will focus on blocks and CSS theme tool block if you can. If you should use it, not use it, that's what we'll talk about in the next section. Welcome to section 5.5, the CSS theme tool block. In the last section, we talked about using CSS to modify fonts and different ways to do that. Right now, we're going to talk about theme tool block. A lot of people like to use blocks. They're pretty useful plugins. Here, if we want to look at the plugin directory, we'll find that there's a description of a contributed plugin that was developed outside by a developer and contributed and reviewed and vetted. And it's good for versions 2.0 and later. And it seems to be pretty useful. It's a point-and-click CSS editor, and it also allows you to just manually do your CSS style entry. So in theory, this is good with themes that do not have a page that allows you just to plug in custom CSS. So let's just take a look at plugin tool if you go to it, and you can just download it. It also, here's a section It talks about what people have found. It's a discussion board. And here's another description of it. Now, I will say that for people who like to use blocks, the theme tool block is great. On the other hand, I would say that there are a lot easier ways to modify CSS, and you don't have to use the block. Just simply go into your theme and modify in the area that, almost every theme at least allows you to do custom CSS. So in a text block, there's essentially a really easy form to use. Unless you're just enamored of blocks, it seems a little bit redundant to use a block, but if you really do like blocks and you like using the plugin, then I just wanted to let you know that there is a CSS theme tool plugin, which has been very widely reviewed and essentially applauded. So in this section, we've talked about CSS theme tool blocks, and with this, we've wrapped up section 5. In section 6, we're going to go on and talk about themes and selecting themes for various purposes of courses. Welcome to section 6, downloading themes. This is section 6.1, advantages of downloading themes. So we're going to talk a little bit about themes. We've talked about it earlier in other sections, but we're really going to go into more depth and look at contributed themes. Now notice we're at the site homepage, and what this theme is Mutant Banjo. But let's say we don't like this, we want to change it for all of our courses, we're kind of frustrated with it. What do? Well, one of the things we can do is we can go to site administration, and we can scroll down until we get to appearance. We can go to appearance, we can go to themes, and we can actually change the themes. So we can go to theme selector, as we've done before, and we're in Mutant Banjo, and we say, okay, we want to change the theme. Now the question is, which theme and why? And if we look at themes, remember that a theme is a plugin. So you might want to go to the Moodle plugin directory and take a look at what they have to say about themes, and just scroll down any of the different themes that are available. You'll see a little thumbnail, and it gives an overview. Now, it's in chronological order. It's not necessarily easy to follow, but it at least gives you a chance to take a look. Now, you may want to go a different approach, and let's look at standard themes. This is in Moodle Docs, and in 2.6 and other versions, you can actually see what the standard themes are, and the themes are contributed themes. And notice we've talked about, in previous sections, custom CSS. Here are the themes that have a form that have a little block that's open where it's just super easy for you to change things. And notice that those are not the only ones, but that's just a partial list. Now, let's look again. We get to standard themes, and the reason they're considered standard is because they are kind of the proven ones, and some of them are new. Notice there's Leather Bound magazine. So they're all kind of new. You can take a look, click on it, take a look at how it looks. But these are what they call contributed themes, which have been developed by outside developers, and they contribute them, they get reviewed, and there's a forum, discussion, vetted, etc. And you can actually take a look to see how often it's been downloaded and just different things about it. Also, you can take a look at who developed it. You can even contact them and ask them if there are any big snags or if it's good for different things. But at this point, I think the key is to take a look at The idea of using a contributed theme to change the appearance and selecting the correct one for your uses. So that means doing a little bit of research at looking at the different themes and also taking a look at what the so-called standard themes to minimize problems. So in this section, we've talked about the advantages of downloading themes, which in a nutshell are it's better to download them than to build your own or customize. And in the next section, we're going to talk about the best sources of information about the themes. We'll talk about Moodle Docs. Welcome to section 6.2, Moodle Docs. In this section, we are going to talk about places to gain and get information about changing the appearance and themes. In the last section, remember that we introduced themes and talked about places to get information. So let's say that we want to change our theme and we want to get information about it. And we're here, this is Mutant Banjo, and we say, well, we just want to change it. So we go down to Site Administration, and we want to globally change, so we go to Appearance, etc. And then once we get into Appearance, let's say we want to change it to Aardvark. Right now we're in Mutant Banjo. So how do we get information? Well, first of all, when we go down to Appearance, we can click on the themes. This time I clicked on Aardvark, and it takes us to Theme Settings. So these are the basic settings. We get a chance to review them. Now let's say that we go through it and we understand it more or less. And we say, oh, Aardvark has a lot of social icons, etc. Let's say we want more information. At the bottom of every page is Moodle Docs for this page. So we click on Moodle Docs and it takes us directly to Admin, Theme Settings, Information, and it also ties to the version I'm in. Let's say that we don't want to look specifically at Aardvark, we just want basic Moodle Docs. Well, we can go to docs.moodle.org and you can focus on the version that you're in. I'm in 2.6, you might be 2.5 or whatever, and you can search and you can just scroll down and here are the different categories. Moodle Docs is a great location for sort of one-stop shopping for information. Remember that themes are plugins, so if we want information about themes, we may wish to go to plugins, or we might simply, again, want to go back to the bottom of every page where we are in Moodle and then have it take us to specifically that area. So in this section, we've talked about using Moodle Docs and how to get general information and specific. In the next section, we're going to look at reviewing themes. Welcome to 6.3, Reviewing Themes. In the last section, we talked about looking at Moodle Docs for information. Today, we're going to look at ways you can find and systematically evaluate themes. So let's take a look at what we want to do. Let's say that we are desiring to have a theme, select a theme that's responsive. What I mean by that is that it looks good on tablets, smartphones, and laptops, and it does it automatically. So how do we find which themes are going to have ability to do that? Because as you know, there are a lot of themes, and if you go to your appearance and you look at preloaded contributed themes, the version that you're working with, chances are you're going to find a lot. You go to Moodle Plugins directory, there are quite a few themes there too, and Moodle Docs. So let's say that we can go through with basic installation, which is 2.6, the version, and we look at the standard themes, and we can take a look at which ones are responsive. Are any of them responsive? The answer is yes, but we have to go through each one to find out. Now let's say that we want to see other ones. How do we find which themes are responsive? You can scroll down in the Moodle plugins directory, and this is the theme area for Moodle plugins, and you can just scroll through the themes, and you wonder what kind of order it's in. It's in reverse chronological, so the latest ones are first. So you don't really want to go too far into it because those will potentially fairly old themes. Say you'll see, you scroll down too far, you'll say this was released in 2012, hasn't been updated. 2.1, 2.2, does this really work on 2.6? We don't know. So it's good to go ahead and work with your recent themes. And also, we can take a look at each theme. If we want to go through just one by one, we could open up, click on it, look at it, and go to the bottom of the page and click on a specific page in Moodle Docs. Sometimes there's information, sometimes there's not. Then I totally recommend eventually putting together a Moodle course or Moodle guide course that works for your institution, and it creates an orientation for your instructors. I've put together a list of themes that automatically work with laptops, tablets, smartphones that are basically responsive. First is Clean, then Aardvark, Essential, LearnStar, Simple. These aren't the only ones, but these are ones that work in 2.6 or 2.5, and they also easily accommodate social media in a way that is in the theme setting page. So as you see we're in Mutant, but this is Rocket. If you go down Rocket, you'll see that there are all different ways to add and customize the color, and you can also put in custom CSS. In Aardvark and Essential, it actually has fields that you can enter for social media. So again, if you want to review themes, I would recommend doing it in a systematic way so that you are looking at different attributes and gathering the ones that fit your goals. I mean, you can just look at what Moodle Docs suggests. For example, here we are in Moodle Doc, and it gives you a list of themes that allow custom CSS, but this is not all-inclusive, and these may or may not be the attributes that you care about. So I just recommend doing your own research and creating lists and links, and maybe even just a spreadsheet. So in this section, we've talked about reviewing themes, and in the next section, we will look at themes that are good for instructor-led courses. Welcome to 6.4, Downloading and Installing Themes for Instructor-Led and Self-Study Courses. In the last section, we talked about selecting themes that are good for courses where your students are going to be using tablets and smartphones and laptops and desktops. In this one, we're going to talk about the types of courses that have organizations such that you may have either self-study, where you don't have any kind of interaction with the instructor, or it could be basically study where it's a group and there's an instructor. And in both cases, it's really a good idea to be able to allow people to interact with each other, with other students, for support. So I'm going to advocate using Aardvark. So we're going to talk about using Aardvark. And notice that we're in the course, and we've gone to Site Administration, Appearance, Themes, and Theme Selector, and we're going to change the theme. So notice that we've looked at Aardvark and we like it. Is it one of the the actual in the standard themes. It isn't really, but it's also a very new theme, so we can find more information. Now, if we look at the basic settings for Aardvark, we can put our course logo, which is important. Now, keep in mind, we are either creating a course that's self-study or it's instructor-led. And in this case, we want to make sure that we include information that allows students to find themselves and find each other easily. In this case, I really recommend incorporating social media because it will allow people to reach out and connect. And if somebody posts something in the discussion board, for example, you can have it automatically trigger an email or a notice in, say, Twitter, or a tweet can go out. You can also put Facebook so students can appear on each other's walls. And also in terms of sharing any kind of graphical information, there's Flickr and Pinterest. And Instagram, there's that too. And also in terms of any kind of video content, you can share it immediately by using social media. And then probably in terms of other things too, files, etc., you might want to include a Google Drive or Google Play. So let's just take a look at what we might do in the course. Say, in a course that's self-study and we're using Aardvark, we want to make sure that we have a very prominent calendar. You want to include the calendar. You might even want to put it close, more to the top. And also have an organization that includes the social media icons at the top. Now, since I haven't added any, there aren't any, but they would be up here when you do add them. So basically, in a course that's for either self-study, self-guided, self-paced, where you want to reach out and establish cohort or alleviate the sense of isolation, you can do that through social media. Or if you have an instructor, then you want to make sure that when the instructor posts something, everybody knows about it, so you want to include social media. So in this case, I recommend Aardvark, and it's a solid, very nice, well-tested theme, and it has a lot of options. So in the next section, we will talk about themes that will be used for other types of courses. For example, we'll talk about themes for use in mobile courses. Welcome to section 6.5, downloading and installing flowable responsive themes for multiple devices. We've already talked about, in the previous section, ways to customize your course so that it looks good and it works well for instructor-led courses. And in previous sections, we've talked about responsive themes and flowable themes in a general way, and we've looked about how to find them. But I'm going to go into one of the best of the responsive themes that's also good for social media. We looked at Aardvark, but I'm going to look at Essential now, and that's the name of the theme. Notice it's like a 5-star in terms of usability. It's 10 out of 10. And it's wonderful in performance as well. So I just think it's a really good thing, but it does take a little bit of work to go through it. We've gone through and have selected the theme through Theme Selector, and I want to just look at the different things that you can do in Essential. So we're in Essential, we've saved it. Now let's look at General Settings. So you click on General Settings and take a look at what you can modify. Let's go step by step. You'll need to put a site icon, and notice the default is laptop. And you can also put a different logo. You can change if you don't want the default, you can change that. And also font selector. Notice you have a chance to look at different types of font combinations, quite a few. You can also set the page width. And it's not a bad idea to keep default here because consider that you're going across different devices. Also, you can edit icons, and these are just in the general settings, copyright, etc., footnote. And if you want to put any custom CSS, you can. Now, let's look at all the other options you have in Essential. Notice if you look at this things, you have custom menu if you need to, color settings. You can do a front page slideshow if you wish to. You can also do front page settings. You can also, let's look at marketing spots. It's a place where you can put links to different marketing if you want to make it go to something that you're selling or something that you need to include. A couple of different spots that rotate around. You could have banners, etc., that announce different upcoming events. So it's flexible in that way, and you don't have to create custom CSS. We talked about social networking, and you can put in your website, Facebook, Flickr, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, Skype, and vKontakte. And at the top, this is where the different social networks that you choose to put in go to. So let's say that I click on YouTube. Since I've already set it up, it goes to this e-learning channel I've set up. That's one of the nice things too. Now, another thing too that I like to point out, if you're setting up a course that's working on multiple devices and it's actually going to be working with a lot of mobile, let's look at the mobile apps that you can incorporate. And it has built in. So Android, iPhone, iPad. Unfortunately, I have a Windows phone, and I don't see that there, but maybe it'll work. I've checked it out, and it does work. So there are user alerts, and then also finally Google Analytics. So you can set it up so you can use Google Analytics. Now, in each of these cases, and I want to point this out for all the social media, etc., you need to plan this really carefully because you want to make sure that the websites and the users and the usernames, etc., that you're using tie into your organization. And they're not, say, a particular teacher or your personal one. You need to make sure you have policies with that. Otherwise, that you have the chance of making a truly, truly chaotic organization if you use Essential and everybody plugs in their own things. Now, or when you're plugging things in as the administrator, you're randomly pulling from various types of accounts. So you should definitely set one up that's the face of your organization. So I hope that this is helpful. In this section, we've talked about looking in an in-depth way about setting up a course that's flowable and responsive, that works on multiple devices, and also with social networking in a very, very customizable way. In the next section, we'll just go ahead and move forward and look at additional ways to customize the appearance of your course in a Moodle. Welcome to Section 7, Pushing the Limits of Moodle by Customizing Themes. 7.1, The Rapidly Changing World of Online Learning, Pushing Limits. In this new section, we will walk through how to quickly and easily customize the appearance of themes. We are modifying and customizing them in order to A, improve user experience, and B, achieve our learner goals and outcomes. we will briefly review the advantages of customizing existing themes. So many developers start with an existing open source product, then they move from there. They change the appearance, modify and expand functionality, then they save them in locations where they can easily use them. Right now we're using a clean theme, and we want to take a look at standard themes again, and notice that there are different themes and, again, the different attributes of the different themes. And we've decided that we like some of the elements in the theme that we have, but we want to change them. Let's make a list of what we like to do. We like to perhaps include our own logo. We like to make sure it's a responsive theme. What we've decided to do is to look at plugins directory and kind of take a look at different themes. So here we have different ones, and we've looked at the standard ones. So let's say we want to work with clean theme again, or perhaps we want to change it again. So notice here we have a chance to modify. And as we do so, we can, in this case, in the plugin, we've downloaded clean theme. We can put course themes. We can allow modifications. We can add custom menu items. There are quite a few things that we can do. Also, here's a critical thing: enable device detection, so that we can have mobile phones, smartphones, mobile devices, tablets, default devices, desktop, laptops. That is essentially critical. So here we can save the changes. And so notice that we're wanting to change to, say, sky high. In this case, we don't have as many opportunities to change it, but we do have the opportunity to add a logo. And again, these are the screens that are built in with the theme. But you can always go in and customize the Cascading Style Sheets. And then also, as we talked about before, if you're using Firefox, you can always go into the style editor and go ahead and just manage your own CSS. In this section, we've talked about the way that we can push limits by customizing themes. And in the next section, we'll look at customizing themes so that they work well with competency-based education. Welcome to section 7.2, Competency-Based Education, Certification Programs. In this section, we're going to talk about developing a theme that is ideal for certification programs that require you to work through a clearly designated set of instructional materials and then to complete assessments. I don't want to give you the wrong impression and let you think that we're going to go through detailed programming when we learn how to work with themes and customize them. Instead, this section will let you know what you need to do if you want to actually program themes. We want to avoid themes that do not easily link to instructional material with knowledge assessing quizzes. So let's pretend for a moment that we are not simply going to extend a base theme, but we're going to create our own layouts. How much more work is it going to entail? To get an idea, let's go to Moodle Docs and review creating a theme. So let's go here and let's just take a look. Let's think about what we need to change in the layout and how to incorporate assessments. We'll look at the files we need to change when we develop our new theme. So just scroll through and here are nice instructions. So here's a list of files that we will need to change and what we'll need to do as we change them. As you name your components, you should follow the protocol called Frankenstyle, which is definitely important to understand. And thankfully, there's a site that goes into detail about describing Frankenstyle. Let's go back. Notice that you'll have to be able to modify your cascading style sheets and where you'll put your layout files, etc. Anyway, let's just go back to standard themes and take a look at themes that exist. We want to look at the flowable ones, and that one, probably which is the most popular at this point, would be clean. So let's take a look at the clean theme. It's kind of a developer's dream. We're going to use it as our foundation. We're not going to go as far as to create a new layout, but we'll just simply modify it at this point because our goal is to optimize user experience in terms of assessment. Let's just go to the clean theme website and take a look. This page describes how to install the clean theme. So if you, again, are very courageous, you may even want to create your own theme settings page. But again, this page is really built for developers and a bit outside the scope of this course, but I wanted you to at least know that these options exist out there. What we will do is to modify the theme, and we'll save it in a place where we can access it later. So you can work with your Moodle administrator to create a place where you can save your modified version. Or from your Moodle theme directory, you can simply right-click on the new theme and copy and paste it back into your Moodle theme directory. For detailed instructions for the clean theme, again, you can go back to the clean theme information page. And also, as you go in and modify it, as usual, we'll just go into Site Administration and Appearance, Themes, but instead of Theme Selector, we will go into Theme Settings. And since we're in Clean, this will pop up when we click on it. And here's we change the settings for Clean. In this unit, we've talked about matching theme and selecting a theme, modifying it for assessment. And the next, we'll talk about using the Clean theme to create an environment that's good for mobile devices as well as desktop environments. Welcome to Section 7.3, Mobile on-the-Job Competency Demonstration. In this section, we'll start out using Clean as the foundation theme to customize when our users will be using Moodle on the job with their mobile devices. This is more of a mobile-first type of thing. And we're using Clean because it's very flexible. It's one of the standard themes, and it's not the only flowable one, but it's very popular because it's easy to modify and it's responsive, which means that it automatically reformats itself for different devices. Take a look at this. Now, I want to say as we go ahead that notice that in the responsive themes, there are a number of different types of themes, and you can go with a responsive kind of mobile-first approach, which is very useful. And I want to also point out that many of the responsive themes are built on Bootstrap, and that's a Bootstrap CSS framework. It has minimal styling, and it can be used to create user experience optimized themes. So they're pretty flexible. So let's go ahead and take a look at responsive themes. And it's useful because it's a mobile-first approach rather than, say, desktop-first. If you actually have to have a course that's primarily being used on the job and real-life world where they're having to show competency, I'd say Clean is the way to go. Let's say we change it. Here we are at Themes, and I'm at the Theme Setting page. And notice we can insert a navigation bar, and here we can insert a logo. And we can also do custom CSS, as we talked about earlier, many different places and ways to customize the appearance using CSS. And finally, you can do a footnote. Put a footnote here, and you save changes. Now, we've talked about different things that we'd have to actually change if you want to go through and create sort of a My Clean directory. You do that by going into the plugin directory and going to standard themes. So we'll look at our standard themes. And as we do that, we will download and change as we go into the CSS. As you download and right-click, then you will need to be sure to customize the different aspects we talked about in earlier sections, which include language and theme and layout, front page, etc. So the key also in mobile-first environment is to make sure it's responsive and also to make sure that it's a version that's been sufficiently vetted and tested and tried so that it doesn't have too many bugs, that it's been downloaded quite a bit so that you have a sufficient number of people who've tested it. Anyway, in this unit or section, we've talked about essentially matching the need for handheld assessment and a theme that will accommodate that. In the next section, we'll look at how to start developing a custom solution that takes advantage of social media. So we'll look at theme, but we'll also look at Learn Star and Essential, which are very good with that. Welcome to section 7.4, Collaborative Social Media Use and Collaborations. In this section, we'll learn how to customize and save a theme in a way that does not require you to go in and work in HTML or CSS. At this point, you're probably wondering if there are any quick and easy ways to create a custom theme without having to spend weeks and months fine-tuning code and debugging. You're probably also wondering if there's any way to get the results that a developer would without having to learn a lot of code. You are in luck with Educator, and also thinking ahead, you're also in luck with Essential. So Educator is a theme that can be customized without having to work with the code. You can save the code when you save the template, but you don't have to generate anything by hand. It works with Moodle 2.3 and beyond. Anyway, it has a custom login page. Let's just start and see how things would go. It has a nice open feel, a lot of settings, so let's just take a look at Educator. Here it is, and it has a nice open theme. You can see that. And we also can take a look at, here's where we can go ahead and change things. And notice this is the theme customizing settings page. Instead of having CSS for the font size, etc., you can just go and move it around here. Frame margin, page width, header control, header content. I mean, it's just kind of amazing how flexible it is. Notice too, you can put in a custom banner. And you can also use the color picker here to customize the colors and credits, blocks, column width. And isn't this amazing? All these different options that are here within a menu, and you don't have to go in and customize the CSS, but you can if you want to. So here it is. That's the way it looks in Educator. Now, let's assume that we're going to change the look and feel, and it's for social groups. So let's go in to Site Administration. Let's go to Courses, and let's go to Course Default Settings. Now, here, when we're in Course Default Settings, notice we're going to move it from Topics format to a social format. And then when we go into groups, we make sure that we have that the groups are showing. So that's really important as well. So here we have so notice that we have visible groups, and we do not force the groups. Between these two elements, you have a great opportunity to create a pretty amazing customized course. So then, if we want to add a new course after we've saved all these different things, we can go back to the home page, and we're leaving this page because we're not saving it, we're just demonstrating, and we turn editing on. But notice, if we just want to add a course, we can do that, and then we can work with different elements. So essentially, in this case, it's not necessary to download and save the theme. The changes are global. So once you've made the changes in the cascading in your theme, then every time you create a new course, then everything is just totally the same. And so it's global. So if you wanted to add and edit a course, you can do so, and you can do it within the different course categories, or you can add a new category. It's totally flexible. And then you can use either Educator, which we looked at as being very flexible, and we can also perhaps take a look at Essential, which is kind of my favorite, because if you're using a social framework for your instead of topics for your organization in your new course, notice how social networking is just totally built in here when you look at all the different aspects of it's all just built in. You don't even have to create it in the Cascading Style Sheet. So that's sort of nice in the terms of using it with Essential. Educator gives you a lot of different options, as does Essential. I won't go through it here, but here is the settings page for Essential. So in this unit and section, we have talked about ways to modify using social networking as the kind of emphasis for the course. In 7.5, we'll discuss how to select and modify a theme that works with MOOCs, or massive open online courses. Welcome to 7.5, Massive Open Online Courses, Update Designs. In this unit, we'll learn how to update designs and themes so that they work well with MOOCs. And so even if all you have in mind is a light version of MOOC, you'll still want to configure it in the same way as one that accommodates thousands of students. So as you select your theme, you'll want to avoid ones that do not allow self-paced learners to advance quickly, and you'll want to avoid the ones that are not collaboration friendly. So if you're thinking about most global users, you'll definitely want a theme that has fluid width. That's good if you're translating to different languages. I highly recommend Boxy for that. Let's go and take a look. You could use Brick also. Brick is quite flexible. But let's take a look at Boxy. And I recommend adding a few blocks in order to make it easier to use. Let's just go ahead and select the theme. Blocks are plugins so that you can select them from the plugin directory. Notice you can go to Plugins and then go to Blocks. So this is where you would find them. And if you want to review possible blocks, you can definitely go here and just scroll down, and there's a large, long list. One of the ones that you might want to use is a My Progress block. The only downside I see with using this tool is that you should download and install all the FN blocks together for best functionality. And some are not self-guided, so it could be confusing. And it's also true, the more blocks you add, the more slower your site will run. But we still definitely need to customize. So let's go back and take a look at Boxy. So let's go ahead and save Boxy. Let's go to Home now that we're in Boxy. And let's go and start to add elements. So how do we add a calendar so that we customize it? Notice we're inside Administration. It's a home page, and we click on Plugins. And under Plugins, we'll see Blocks. And under Blocks, you'll see a number of different blocks. So there's a possibility there. Now, if you want to customize other elements, you have a number of them that you can. Let's just go up here and take a look at how we want to modify course format. And also, we can modify the front page so that we can have different elements. So here we want to definitely perhaps add badges and add a new badge. You can manage badges. There are a number of things we can do with Boxy that make it very easy and useful. Another thing we want to make sure is that we want media embedding. Scroll down and look under Site Administration, and we click on Appearance, and here's the calendar. Remember, if we want to add the calendar. And then we put under Media Embedding, and here's Media Embedding. Here is a place where you can easily customize all the different types of media that you can use. And this is perfect for a social networking focus. So now that you've completed this unit, we've learned about customizing for social networking and social courses. We will move to the next section, which is Section 8, Customizing Outcomes. Welcome to Section 8, Customizing Outcomes. 8.1, What are customizable outcomes and assessments? In this section, we'll learn how to customize the certificates that demonstrate the outcomes of the assessments and to create digital achievement badges that can be earned by the learners. We'll look at the advantages of developing your own certificates rather than using ones that are pre-built. In Moodle 2.5 and on, you also have a chance to create badges. So let's take a look at certificates. If you need information, you can go to moodle.org and look at plugins, and here are the neat things you need to know about certificates. And remember that a certificate is a plugin. Let's go ahead and discuss how to add that. Now notice from the home page, in this we're using Essential, you can add images, etc., and customize by going to Site Manager and then looking at under Activities. It's possible to look at the actual plugins, and when we look under plugins, we see activity modules, and the certificate is an activity module. So in this case, you'll be uploading for the site, all the courses site-wide. And when we get into the individual courses, it's a little bit different. So here we are. Let's go to Maintaining Your Flower Garden. We're in the individual courses, and notice we're in Essential. We've added YouTube as a social network, so if somebody wants to talk about and demonstrate their certificate, they can upload it and share it. Here we are, and you can configure it so that, first of all, you add an activity, which is the certificate, and then then you can customize the name, which is, and then you have different options. You can make it automatic, etc. Now, you have design options, number of options that are all embedded. I want you to take a look at what a really basic one will look like. Here's the way the generated certificate looks like. In this case, its certificate is for success in the workplace. But notice you can add a signature, you can add a little badge, you can choose the border, you can have the watermark, you can have the name. There are a number of things, and it's issued as a PDF. So when we get to editing the certificate, then basically you can make sure that it's given upon completion. So in this case, it's really important to go ahead and when you're setting up the course, to enable mastery. If you don't, you'll have problems, but make sure that you put in, when you're setting up the course itself, the achievement levels so that the certificate is automatically issued. If that's exactly what you want, you may not want that. You may want to manually issue the course or issue the certificate. And if that's the case, it's fine also. But just want to keep in mind some of the basic, very, very good attributes of this. If you have courses that span, you have certificates that span all the different courses, and you're able to add a certificate for each one, then you have a very good opportunity to build your brand, and you can customize it in just so many different ways. So here we have Expert Marigold Gardener. We have already set up the certificate. Now we can edit the title, or we can go over and update the certificate itself. Notice how we've made sure that it's saved, it's delivered in a certain way, and then not emailed to the teachers, but you can also make sure that it's emailed to other people. So there's just a number of different ways. And in this unit, we've learned how to do certificates, just the basics of them. In the next section, 8.2, we'll go into more detail about creating certificates that are automatically generated. In this case, it's not automatic. Welcome to 8.2, Certificates, Generating and Automating upon completion of assessments. In the last section, we talked about certificates, and we talked about where to find information on Moodle plugins. A certificate is a plugin. So now we'll talk a little bit more about how to go about actually automating the production of them. First of all, let's say that we want to go into our courses. Notice I'm using the Essential theme, so it may not be what you're used to, but I like it because for certificates, it has a social networks element, and we can actually share later on in different ways with our cohorts and colleagues. So let's go to Maintaining Your Flower Garden, which is one of our courses. And when we're in the course, I want to make sure that we understand at the very beginning that we need to go into Edit Course Settings. So notice we're in there. Okay, let's go to Edit Course Settings, and notice this is Edit Settings. So if we go into this screen, here's the critical part. Go down to Completion Tracking, and we need to turn it on, and that's incredibly important, and you'll see why. Okay, so Save Changes. Now, let's go to the Professional Development Institute's course in Certificates, and let's go to Maintaining Your Flower Garden, and let's look at Expert Marigold Gardener. We've already got a certificate started. Remember, if you wanted to start and add it from the very beginning, you just go to Add an Activity, and it's in Certificates. So here we go to, we can edit the title of it, but now let's edit and update. Now, as we're in here, we can add descriptions, etc. But make sure that we're in Activity Completion. We can indicate it if we want to, and I would say Show Activity is complete as the conditions are met. And then in Issue Options, let's go ahead and say, no, we don't want to email the teachers, but we want to open it in a new window. Or if we want to make sure that they get it automatically, force download. Save the certificate, and then for any text options that we want to add, we can notice to put course completion when it's printed. In the mastery, put a C or better, and with different outcomes, percentage, course grade. We do want to put the course grade on there, and we save and return to course. In this unit, we've talked about putting together certificates. In the next unit, we'll talk about making even more modifications. Welcome to 8.3, Changing the Appearance of Your Certificates, the title and fonts. Okay, so on the certificates, I just want to remind you that it's a plugin, and it may already be in your version of Moodle, but if it is not, you may need to talk to your Moodle administrator and download it. So here's where to do it, which is at Plugins, Moodle Plugins. Let's just go back to how we are customizing. We're in Maintaining Your Flower Garden, and we want to give a certificate for the Expert Marigold Gardener. And notice we added the activity through the drop-down menu. Now we are updating it. So we're editing the certificate, and we're putting in the title. And then we're also going to put a little introduction description, and we want to change the fonts, etc. So we just expand the window, and notice you can change the font. You can do all kinds of things. You can add an image, any types of things. And this is in the part that's in the introduction. Now, let's go in also and talk about how we want to change the design. Notice that you can put a certificate type, size, etc. Let's say it's letter size, and it's embedded. Orientation is landscape, border image. We want to do fancy black. We have a lot of options. Border lines, yes, we put brown. Watermark image, put a fleur-de-lis. Signature image, let's put R.V. Vincent. And let's put say, a fancy logo. So these are the things that are built in. You can contribute others. So let's save and let's display. So if we want to go ahead and notice how, if we want to get the certificate, we download it, we just click and it will display. And you can see this very attractive certificate. And you have now been able to customize it. In this unit, we've talked about customizing the certificate. And in the next unit, we'll talk about changing the appearance of the graphics and watermark. Welcome to section 8.4, changing the appearance of certificates, graphics, watermarks, seals, etc. In this section, we'll learn how to add watermarks, seals, and graphics that distinguish the certificate and they assist you in branding. So we're going to eliminate bland certificates. So remember that we are in the course, Maintaining Your Flower Garden, and we have enabled editing. We've already added the activity, so we're going to go in and update. What we want to do now is we want to edit the certificate, and we're calling it Expert Marigold Gardener, and what we want now is to put an image. The first place we can add an image is in the description. So remember, when you look at it at first, you need to add the editing tools and get the text editor and web editor box, and then you can add find it or upload image. I recommend using your own to avoid any issues, and then just go ahead and upload it. And then after you upload it, I recommend going ahead and putting an image description so that you do not lose it. Here we're going to find the image. We'll browse flowers, open, and we'll save it as flowers, and we'll upload it. And then here we put the image description, flowers. That's probably pretty inadequate. Now I've already uploaded it, so let's see what it looks like. So notice when we upload it, we go to get your certificate, and the student will see the image. So this is where it shows up. It doesn't actually show up in the certificate itself. To see what it looks like in the certificate, let's go back and edit the certificate. And let's say we want to add this image to the actual watermark. If we do that, we need to work with our administrator in Moodle and do it. So right now we have a crest or a fleur-de-lis, and we have a signature image. We'll just put a line. We'll put a logo. We'll also put border lines. We'll put green for growing. Image, you'll see fancy green. And we'll put letter embedded. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Save and display. And now, to get your certificate, here's what it looks like. So notice my name, admin user, all these different things are here, and they're limited, again, in the fleur-de-lis because you're limited what's in the plugin that you've installed, but you can customize. We've learned about how to customize graphics, watermarks, etc. So in the next unit, we're going to talk about badges now that we know about certificates. Welcome to section 8.5, badges. What are their uses? In this unit, we'll learn about badges and their units. Badges were introduced in Moodle 2.5, and they are a good way to celebrate achievement and show progress. They can be awarded based on a variety of chosen criteria and are fully compatible with Mozilla Open Badges. So you can get information at Moodle Docs in the Badges page. So keep in mind that they can be custom designed. They can use your organization's logo or recognizable image. They are essentially a digital graphic, and they're awarded when your students complete courses or a set of courses. And they can be awarded at the end of a set, all courses, or they can be a course badge and they're available to students enrolled in a course. But let's go ahead and take a look at where they can post badges. Badges are used with Mozilla Open Badges project, and this is a key resource. Mozilla is open source, and with this opportunity, you can say you can keep track of the badges. Mozilla has a backpack, basically cloud-based. When your students earn a badge, they can upload them to their space in the backpack, and then they can then embed a link or embed code, HTML, to display the badges in Facebook or any kind of social media. One thing that makes badges, digital badges, so exciting is that it is so useful with social media, and you can have your own backpack. So it's a really good thing if you really need to show skills in something. Now here are a couple of examples of badges. Now some people say that badges to demonstrate skills will supplant college degrees. I honestly don't see that happening anytime soon, but I do see it as the same as earning certificates or continuing education units. They are supplemental, but they're not intended to replace a full degree. So when you're designing a badge, think of ways to make it stand out from the competition, also make them differentiable and clear. You might think about ways that you could describe your program and also the specific course in a way that communicates immediately. In the next section, 8.6, we'll learn how to design a badge. Welcome to section 8.6, Designing Badges, Considerations of Icons, Themes, Fonts. So in this unit, we'll learn the fundamentals of good design for a badge. As we start the design process, we want to avoid user boredom and burnout and maintain motivation to learn and earn. So we make sure that we have lively, engaging, attractive badges that communicate the message. We'll go and create a badge for a course by starting. Let's go to this Maintaining Your Flower Garden course, and we can add an activity. We can do it this way through badge, or better way would be to go down and scroll down to course administration, and then we go to badges. So then we can add a new badge. So the badge is Maintaining Your Flower Garden. So let's go ahead and put the name of the badge. So let's say Expert Marigold. And let's say description, badge. We can add things later. And now we can choose a file. So let's choose a file for a badge. Now we have a very large flower graphic that we can put that we've used before. It's way too big, but let's just go ahead and give an example of how we do it. So let's go ahead and upload the file. And then what we can do is look at how it finally takes shape, recreate the badge. And we haven't set up the criteria, etc. We can edit details, etc. But here's what it looks like. Notice the picture. It's automatically fairly tiny, at least as it displays here. But I'm not saying that that's a good badge. Let's take a look at badges that other people design. Notice here are some that are used for web skills. So we have HTML Basic, Open Badgifier, Hacktivator, and I'm a webmaker builder. So these are ostensibly badges that people have earned after going through courses, etc. So after we've created our badge, we can go ahead and use them in connection with open badges. And notice that if you participate as a learner, you can earn a badge here and go ahead and display it. You can also get involved with the Open Badges community, and if so, you can display your badges in the Mozilla Backpack. But you don't even have to do that. Your students can display their badge that they earn from you any place. They don't have to go through the backpack. So in this unit, we've talked about creating badges, And the next one, we'll talk about actually designing the image that you use for the badge. Welcome to section 8.7, creating and sizing badges. So we're going to talk about how exactly to size and create a badge, and we're going to talk about customized ones. So let's go to a photo editor that I like to use called PicMonkey, and what we'll do is we will edit a photo and we will create a badge. So let's just go to the photo editor, and what I did is I went ahead and edited a photo. I picked flowers, which we looked at before. And so I went in and I lined it up, and I wanted to crop it to make it 200 by 200 pixels, which is a nice size. So we applied that, and then also wanted to go ahead and add text. So the name of our badge is Flowers 101. We can always change this, and we may not actually like the way it looks. That's okay, but this is just for demo purposes only. So notice that PicMonkey has all sorts of things built in terms of scripts and adding text and cropping, etc. So I picked lobster, always a good one. So let's save this, and then we can also go in and add, if we go to the editor, we can save it for now, but we can save it to our computer. Let's call Flowers Badge, and let's just go ahead and save it with good quality. And let's save it to my computer, to desktop, and let's just go ahead and do that. So then, as we manage the badges, we can go ahead and create a new one. So let's add a new badge, and let's call it Flowers 101 description, and we'll choose the flower badge, click here, open, and save it as flower badge, upload the file, and boom, you've got it. Then we can actually create the badge. So we have issuer details, etc. We can put that in there. We can have expiration. We've created the badges. Now, notice that we have an opportunity. Here's what it looks like. And I recommend that one either. It's kind of tiny, but that's okay. So we can add right now the badge criteria. Manage issue by role, course completion, activity completion. Let's say it's for the entire course. We put course completion, and we go ahead and save it. We can put a minimum grade. Let's say they have to have 80% from mastery. So let's save it. And notice then this is automatic, which is nice. So again, where people can put it in is they can put it in the Moodle backpack if they want to, or Mozilla backpack. But there's also a possibility of creating your own backpack in Moodle. And in addition to that, you can go ahead and create the badges so that people can share them in Facebook or wherever they want to. So this could be beneficial for an individual who would like to demonstrate that he or she is kept up to date with standards, etc. It's an opportunity to show that you, as an organization, recognize credentials, etc. Really happy that you've had a chance to take a look at this nice badge, Flowers 101. So anyway, I think that it would be a good thing to tweet about the badge and use social networking. In this case, we want to use essential as our theme. So now that you've finished the last section of Chapter 8, and you've learned how to design badges and the different considerations, you've actually completed the course. I would just like to say congratulations. And if you have worked through all of the sections successfully, you now have the knowledge and skill to customize the look and feel of your Moodle courses. You can use your creativity in new ways and create learning environments that will both engage and motivate students. If you have any questions about any of the sections, please return and review them as many times as you need. And as you do so, experiment with your own courses. Remember, the more you practice, the more confidence and skill you'll have. Thank you.